Recording. Okay, so we are now recording. Yay! Okay, so we got Pam hopefully here into the class. So just kind of sitting for a second. We are doing the wrist today, and I just want to say a couple quick things about the wrist. And it's interesting because I've had a few clients mention their wrists lately, and you know, we do a lot of weight bearing in yoga. On our hands, and if you know, people feel like, oh, I can't come to class if I feel wrist pain. But the thing is, we have to resolve the wrist pain. So that's what this class is really all about. The wrist and the hand are very similar to how the feet work. There's arches in arch in the hand, just like in the feet. And if you let that arch weaken, then when you place your hand down on the floor, like we do in yoga or against a wall or whatever, you are going to start to feel wrist pain. Also, if you look at your wrist, you can wave, right? So that all these bones from here up on the hand actually are very unstably placed on top of the bones of the wrist, and so that causes a lot of instability. So people have this sort of hypermobility or this ability to move the wrist in certain ways that aren't effective for placing the hands down on the floor. So also the outside, the little finger side, it looks like a big bone here, but that's not actually true. The one that looks like the big bone on the little side is actually the small bone. So we get small. Sorry, here I'm just Pam's really having difficulty getting in, and that must have been what Sean was experiencing. So you see, I'm coming close to you, and this little bone is actually starts little, and then it becomes big. And that's what's going on. So this is little, it goes to big. This is big and goes to little. And then the stability in the forearm actually comes from the fact that those two bones twist. So the arch of the hand is around here, and we and what we want to do is strengthen that arch, and I'll talk about that in a second. So just excuse me, I'm sorry about this. Just Pam's having a hard time getting in, and I want her to get here, and I think Sean had the same thing. So maybe that did it, hopefully. Okay, so what we need to do in order to strengthen the wrist is bring the little finger towards the thumb and the thumb towards the little finger. Okay, and then that will help strengthen the wrist. So we'll be doing that in some exercises today. So just sit. I did that long explanation, but let's just sit for a second. Put some space between your hips and your ribs. Lift your breastbone up. Widen and broaden through the collarbones. Draw your hands down. Let the palms come up. And just close your eyes for a second. Draw your chin in. Let your eyes soften. Take a minute to sense and feel how your body is feeling. Some people love the heat and the warmth. Some people find it really difficult to deal with. So, you know, try to sense what's going on in your body today, what you might need. Then bring your hands to your heart, thumbs at your breastbone. Use the thumbs to draw the breastbone up even higher, and as you do that, just drop your head down towards your heart. Blessing your body and just thanking it for being here today. Good. And then slowly come on. So just like everything, if we're tight anywhere in our body, we need to resolve that. We need to stretch first. And then we can work on starting to strengthen. And often when people are tight, they think, oh, I have such strong forearms, look at this. But you really don't. It's just that your muscles are tight. So tightness or weakness or weakness, means that you don't have the strength. And so then we have to work on strengthening. So one way to just determine what's going on with the forearms, because the forearms and the wrist and the elbow and the shoulder are interrelated, is to just run your thumb down the middle of your wrist into that muscle there and just see, oh, is that really tight? Does that really hurt? And if that is the case, then you need to do a lot of stretching. And then turn your arm over and do the top area. And you have like kind of a bulging muscle here if you want to see. And then you're just going to run your thumb down. So you can just do that. And what you will discover is that both arms, both hands, both shoulders, both wrists, both elbow are different. And you're going to clearly see that in my case, I've had the shoulder issue. So did the shoulder issue come from the wrist? Or, is the shoulder affecting the wrist? That's the chicken and the egg scenario. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our arm out. So let's take our left arm out. And we're going to pull the baby finger and the ring finger towards us. So we're getting that nice and stretched. So start here, open up the arm, take the fingers back. You can do 2 at a time, or you can do 1. Like if you're really tight, you might want to just do 1. So when we stretch and we open up this area, what we're hoping is that the bones of and all the ligaments in the hand and everything are going to move better. They're not going to be stuck. So now I'm doing my ring finger. Now I'm going to do my 3rd finger, 4th finger, and then my 5th finger, my thumb, which is my 5th finger. Okay, good. And then exhale, release that. Now, one of the best strengtheners for this arch that I told you is right across the top of the hand is to join the tip of and come close if you're not sure, the tip of your finger with the tip of your thumb, your baby finger and your thumb. So the other fingers are going to stick out. This 4th finger, this ring finger might come with it, which is indicative of an issue right there. Okay. Now with that, we're going to do that same stretch, but we'll start with the pointer finger. So now I'm going to draw the pointer finger down and back towards my body. Draw the 3rd finger back. Draw the 4th finger back that wants to be glued to my, so this is interesting. And all the time I'm keeping that circle with my, and honestly, like when I do this 4th finger that is not functioning properly, it hurts all the way up to my shoulder. Not hurts, I can feel it up to my shoulder. It hurts. Okay, so I've got to work on that even more. Okay, so just shake that arm out and let's do the other hand. So bring your right arm out. Start with the baby finger, draw the baby finger back towards your shoulder. Good. Then draw the 2nd finger back. Draw the 3rd finger back. 4th finger back. 5th finger back. Sorry about this, guys. Okay, and then we're going to do the same thing with this hand. Join the thumb and the baby finger. And as you have that join, you're joining at the tips, not like the pads, the tips of the fingers. So your nails are one nail's trying to go into the other. Take the index finger, the pointer finger, and draw it back. And the 3rd finger, draw back. And again, hard to keep that circle maintained when I'm doing this, but better on this side than the other side. I can actually get this 4th finger all the way back. So that is very good. Good. Now you're going to interlock your fingers and you bring your palms out. So this opens up the palm of the hand, right? That's why we're doing this pose. And we're going to bend our elbows, bring the hands, the back of the hands towards, palms are facing up. And we're going to bring our arms up over our head. And as we do this, we're trying to bring the thumb side up towards the ceiling and the pinky side down. We're keeping the arms bent. Shoulder blades, just let me show you from the side, shoulder blades need to be in. And this is like all the work we've been doing on the upper body last Wednesday, what we did on Monday night's class if you were there. This is all this shoulder work that's going to help you do this pose. So now we're going to bend it. We've got the bend those elbows bent, and then we're going to try to lift up towards the ceiling. And again, thumbs are coming up and baby fingers are coming down. And if you look, your elbows should be facing each other, okay? So if that's not happening, for one thing, sit up nice and straight, because when you slouch, there's no way that you can get full extension of external rotation of the shoulders. It just doesn't work. So this is really important, okay? Good. And then come down, bend the elbows again, really feel the shoulder blades pushing into your back, and then exhale and release. All right, next, we're going to go into little, sort of like a dolphin pose variation, okay? I'm going to show you at the front of my mat. Take your block. You're going to have palms up and your little finger side into the block here, like this, okay? And, oh, by the way, check out one of my little YouTube videos that I did on the shoulder, wrist, carpal tunnel, that type of thing. It's also got another stretch that I highly recommend that's similar to what we just did, but you put your arm this way. Check that out on YouTube if you have any kind of wrist issue. Okay, so I'm holding the block. I've got my little pinky side, palms are facing up, and I'm coming down on my forearms, okay? Now, I want to extend the little pinky side forward, and I want to try to get the flats of my hands down. And as I said, in my side with the shoulder issue, this is harder to do. This is much more difficult. Okay, so, but I'm going to try. And then what I'm just going to do is I'm going to move my hips back so that my shoulders come further away from the block and then come forward. And we'll do that a couple times, back and forth. Again, remember, we're not working into any kind of pain, just into some nice light resistance. Observe what's happening. So again, on my side with the shoulder issue, I cannot get my palm down, so I'm just trying to extend through the baby finger, and I'm trying to push the flat of the hand down, the back of the hand down towards the floor. So do what you can do. All right, I come back, I come back. And then I'm going to come back as far as I can. I'm going to try to lift the block up and bring it to the back of my body. Still pushing in with my baby finger. Keep trying to extend the finger, the baby finger, away from your elbows, and then come back. Let's try that again. Come all the way back as far as you can go. Lift the block up, bring it to your back. Bring the hips away from your head. And then exhale and release. Good. And then come on up. And just give your shoulders and your arms a little bit of a shake again, because you may find that that was challenging for you. So one of the things that we need to do when we start to place our hands down on the floor, you know, we always say like push through the knuckles, but we need to actually, so everybody put your hands down on the floor. And then what you need to do is look at the direction that your knuckles are going in, or your fingers are going. If your fingers are starting to point out to the side, rolling, then rolling outward, then that means that you are putting more weight on the small bone in your hand, which is the not great one. I'm really sorry about this. Poor Pam is really trying to get into this class, and somehow it keeps either bumping her out or it's not letting her in. I don't know what is going on. We're definitely, she should be coming in. Anyways, so you see what I'm saying, even if when I put my hands down, If my thumb, my knuckle of my thumb is pointing outwards, that means that I've got some dysfunction there. So now place your hands down on the floor and squeeze the thumb and the thumb towards the baby finger and the baby finger towards the thumb. And you'll see that the arch of the hand, this part here, it almost lifts off the floor. I'm really keeping my hands really active. And also roll your weight onto the index finger knuckle. This one right here, if you're not sure, this is your index finger. You want all the weight on the knuckle. If you are, not all the weight, but most of the weight on the knuckle, so that you are shifting the weight away from this sensitive bone here, okay? Now, interestingly enough, when we do that, push the thumb into the finger, you should start to feel that into the forearm. So when you start to feel that in the forearm, you know, yeah, I'm doing the right thing. Now, the other thing I want you to just pay attention to is that the index finger, this finger, is pointing straight up. A lot of times we say the third finger should point up, and that would be like really ideal, but most of us aren't there. So let's just, for today, for the rest, point the index finger straight like this, parallel to each other, and really push through that knuckle, okay? And then just play with this a little bit. You want to curl your toes under and bring your hips back, and we're just gonna come back and forth all the time, squeezing your baby finger and your thumb together, all the time pushing through the knuckles. And I'm gonna tell you, I've been doing a lot of gardening, so, you know, using some clippers and what have you, and I'm really feeling that there's muscles in my hands that I never knew I had. So maybe you're feeling that too. I hope so, okay? So pushing in and thumb towards baby finger towards thumb, and just going back and forth and just see what can the stretch of the forearms do for you as well. They should be active when you do this. And now as you move forward, you should feel a little bit of a stretch. Good. And then just exhale and again, give your hands a shake because it's pretty intense. So now you need 2 blocks, or if you don't have blocks, you know, honestly, books, 2 backs of books are gonna work really well for this. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna actually fold our yoga mat over the blocks. And then when I push forward here, you see what I did. So here's my 2 blocks. They're about, you know, I want it so that my wrist will be in shoulder, in the line of my shoulder. And then I'm gonna bring the block, my yoga mat over. And then I'm gonna place my hands so that my index finger is on the edge of the inside block and my thumb is going below. So I've actually done mine a little bit too close together. All right, so are we all good? Has everybody got this? If you're not getting it or you can't see properly, please let me know. So again, I'm just showing you my finger. So if you're not sure, just look at this. My index finger is on the inside spots, and this is hanging down on my yoga mat. And I'm going to be able to push down into my yoga mat. So this is going to educate our hand to push through that index finger, okay? And then what you're going to do when you've got this all set up nicely is you're going to come into, again, like a downward dog, or if your wrists are very, very sensitive, maybe a modified downward dog, okay? So I'm getting my index fingers pushed in. I'm letting the thumbs push into that dip in my yoga mat, and then coming up into downward dog. Now at the same time, try to squeeze your thumb and your index finger together. Squeeze them in towards together, so the heel of the hand, without lifting up. So sometimes when you do that squeeze, you want to lift up this index finger knuckle. Don't let that happen. Keep pushing that knuckle down, but draw that energy in towards that midline. And then come on back into downward dog. Good. Exhale and release. Okay. So next, what we're going to do is just put your blocks aside for a second. And we're going to come down into a cobra pose. We're going to take the elbows up and the fingers towards each other like this in our cobra. Okay. So here we go. We're going to lie down. So what we're working on here is both stability, just like that, just a little bit so you can see. So my hands are towards each other, fingers are facing each other as much as you possibly can. Elbows are up, and they can even be coming towards your head. Drop your head. Now your job is pushing your knuckles of your hands into the floor. Draw your shoulder blades down towards your waist. Push your hip bones and your pubic bone into your waist. Draw your belly in and up and slide the breastbone forward and see if you can lift. And then exhale and slowly release. And we're going to do this like 3, 4, 5 times. Let's do it 5 times at least. Okay? And every time, see if you can come up a little further. And if you're feeling fatigue in your forearms or in your arms, you know, just take a little rest and start again, because this is important. This is important work. Also, try sliding your fingers towards each other. So inhale up and exhale down. Let your head be the last thing that comes up. You're not leading with your head. Let your head drag down, then lift. Yeah. You're not going to straighten your arms, by the way, unless you're hypermobile. That was 1, 2, lift, head down. Draw the shoulder blades in and down your back. Bring your breastbone forward. Exhale, release. 3. Exhale. 4. And 5. Good. And then release. And come on up. And you may have felt that in your shoulders, in your arms, everywhere, right? Okay. So let's go into downward dog and just experience what has to happen. Now, take a blanket. I didn't mention on my reminder this morning about a blanket, but always have a blanket for my classes because it's very rare that you don't use it. So just fold your blanket like this. So it's about, 1 or 2 inches, and you're going to place it in front, on the front of your yoga mat. I'll do it this way to show you. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take our hands down onto the floor and find that placement again. Okay, so, one other little point that's really interesting is that even though I can bend my wrist to 90 degrees, that's actually not how the wrist works. The wrist shouldn't actually bend to 90 degrees. It should be more like this. So the fact that we're always bending it 90 degrees just means that we have to have very open muscles here in order for this to happen, okay? So that's why sometimes, again, people feel wrist pain. It's not totally natural to do that. Okay, now we're going to come into downward dog. We're going to place those hands. We're going to have our index fingers facing upward. We're going to have our thumb and our baby finger pointing towards each other, almost like you feel that lift. You might even feel a little lift in the heel of the hand. You're going to make sure that you're pushing through that index finger like you did in the knuckle, like you did on the block. And you're going to curl your toes under, bring your hips back, get the length. And your wrists now should be resting on your blanket. That's where they should be. If you're doing downward dog, but your elbows are over your wrists, it's not good. You've got to come way back and rest those wrists on the blanket. Have those active arms, externally rotate the upper shoulder. So this part, your wrist, your inner wrist should be in the same direction as your thumb is pointing. Okay, remember what I said about fingers, knuckles pointing up? For me, this is where I know I have dysfunction. My thumbs are really turning outward, okay? So this is not good. I got to work on this. So now I'm going to pull back with the hips, lift up, and come into my downward dog. Do the same thing. Keep that action. Keep that pushing through the index finger. Keep pushing the thumbs down into your imaginary loose yoga mat, but now it's floor. And then inhale and come forward into a plank. Bring your breastbone forward and your heels back. Engage that core. See how the wrists feel. If you have more weight on the baby finger side of your wrist, you are doing a dysfunction to that rest. So you keep coming forward and back and see how that feels. Okay? And what I recognize is when you have a weak shoulder, and again, what came first, the chicken or the egg, is you have a tendency to want to put all the weight on this outside part, and that is not good. Okay, so we did some downward dog, 2 planks, and hopefully that felt good. Now, another thing you can do is move your blanket aside and just see, do I need to stretch again? So turn your fingers in towards your knee, place the hands down on the floor, fingers wide, knuckles pushing in, and then as you sit back, let the heel of the hand come off the floor, because we want to stretch through the hand and through the wrist. So I'm pushing down first to make sure that I'm getting this stretch. If I don't know if you can see in the camera, probably not, but there is a huge difference between my left and my right arm. I'm left-handed and also from doing massage. So I'm pulling back, lifting the heel of the hand off the floor. Eventually, I'm going to lift my fingers off, and I keep drawing back until I get a release. All right, and then just shake that out. Okay, and then of course, all the things that we did at the wall last week and the upper body stuff, this is all part of this whole thing. Your body works as the total unit. Okay, so next, let's, I feel like I've pretty well done that part of the down part, but let's come up to standing. And we'll do warrior 1. So take a wide stance. And pubic bone down, pubic bone and tailbone, sorry, tailbone down. I said, I was pointing to my tailbone and I literally said pubic bone, but tailbone down, tailbone and pubic bone together. Take a nice wide stance. And you're going to turn your right toe out, right toes out for warrior 1. So on Monday night, I did a class on the knees, and I stressed how important it was for the knee to be tracking right over the ankle. So please don't forget that just because we're doing the rest. All right, we're going to lift our arms up, and then we're going to turn the palms over so that the palms are facing upward. And for today's purpose, because we're doing wrists, you can even feel like if it feels more comfortable to go a little higher, you can do that today. Okay? Now, what we're going to do is with the palms up, this is where you're going to see my big dysfunction. You're going to turn the front palm down as you bend your front knee, so your right knee. And then you're going to turn this hand down, okay? So my fingers are trying to reach the floor. And like I said, so here's my dysfunction. My wrist is not even able to go like this, and I can barely get this hand down. And this all comes from my shoulder. So what do I have to do? I have to make sure, I have to go back, make sure my shoulder blade is really into my body, and then I'm externally rotating this upper arm, okay? Then I turn the left fingers down towards the floor. But to make this even better, I'm going to turn my head to the right, and I'm going to drop my right ear to the right shoulder. So I'm getting a little stretch as I do my warrior. Yeah, don't forget all about the legs things. Push your feet into the floor, lift your pelvic floor, and then exhale and slowly release. Whew. Draw that arms down, almost like float down because they were up there for so long. Okay, turn your feet inward, get your alignment again. Turn your left foot out. Inhale, lift your arms up, palms facing upward. As you bend your left knee, this time towards your little toe side, take that left hand down. Now, look at my wrist on this side if you can see it, because it's straight down. It's at that 90-degree angle. Now I'm going to turn my head. I'm going to look over my left fingers, and I'm going to take oh my gosh, that's such a nice stretch. I'm going to take my left ear to my left shoulder. Drop the hips. We're doing warrior. Keep the feet nice and solid. Don't forget about the arches of the foot as you draw the arches of the wrists. And then inhale and come back. Woo! And again, turn your feet in, let your arms release, and come back. So you might be getting the message here that shoulder, elbow, and wrists are very interrelated. And a lot of the issues that we have in the elbow actually stem from the wrist. So this is why this is really important. Okay, so now let's take a wide stance. So here we can take a wide stance, we can push our feet out, we can interlock our fingers behind us. This is like, instead of doing palms together, let's keep the palms apart. Let's draw the shoulder blades back towards the spine. Lift the breastbone up. Lift the breastbone up. Now pull your hands away from each other as you draw the elbows in. So I'm pulling my hands away from each other out as I'm drawing the elbows in, keeping the breastbone lifted and the shoulder blades in, and also really watching my neck as well. Draw your chin back and pull away. Then elbows are bent, right? So see if you can straighten your arms a little bit, keeping that connection and coming into a full pose maybe. And then we're going to hinge at the hips and come forward, keeping the breastbone forward, keeping the hands reaching away from our head, lengthen, 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 and then see if you can come forward and even bring the hands up towards the ceiling. So people who are hypermobile in the shoulders, you might be able to get your hands right over your head into the floor. It's not necessary. All we're trying to do here is get this shoulder blades together, shoulder blades in, breastbone lifted, and this pull of the elbows. If you remember a class a couple of weeks ago, we pulled the block apart but brought the elbows in. Same idea, we're just doing it behind our back, okay? So try that. Lengthen, lengthen, lengthen. And then bring your hands down to the floor, so let them release, and take your fingertips in line with your toes, push your hands in. Now, I'm gonna suggest that if you have wrist issues, that you do spider fingers, that you do this kind of hand. And then, you know, but if your wrists are good, you can push your hands forward as you bring the elbows out to the side. So you're getting that same kind of elbows out to the side stretch that we got before. Let's push it to our hand. Good. And then inhale and come back up and all the way up to standing. And then bend your feet and bring yourself into Tadasana. Okay, and just roll your shoulders a couple times and shake your arms out a little bit. So all these things are very interesting for the arm. Okay, so let's go into warrior pose again. Take a wide stance and bring your right foot forward. And then you're gonna bend lift your arms up, of course, again. But I just want you to experience something. As I bend my right knee, what I want you to do is take your left shoulder away. So if having your hands down makes this easier for you, go ahead and do this, or even have your hand on your shoulder. So I'm bending my right knee. I'm going to draw the left shoulder. So I'm getting this cross body stretch here in my side angle, or in my warrior two, Virabhadrasana 2. And so I've got that going. Then take the arms up. Good. Again, let's try the stretch. Palms are facing up. Bring your fingers towards your wrist. Look the other way, elbow to ear. Now, this time you might want to take your hand over your head. This is sort of a stretch that we do just for our neck. And add some gentle pressure. So gentle pressure, I'm actually pushing my head up into my hands and my hands up to my head. So again, a 2 for exhaling. Good, and shake that out. Bring your right foot forward. Make sure you're in the right alignment. Turn the left foot out. Do the other side. So palms up. As you bend your left knee, draw the palm down. Don't forget to lift abdomen. And here's what I want you to focus on. So I actually like this. Bend your elbow, place your right hand on your right shoulder, draw the right shoulder back away from the left knee. So I'm getting this cross body stretch. I'm also feeling like my shoulder blade is really into the socket. So do you feel that? And then extend the arm out, turn the palm down. So much easier on this side. Look to the left, draw your left ear to your left shoulder. And then I can take this arm up and over if I want, and do that same stretch. Good. And then exhale and release. Bring the feet together. Step forward. So I'm like, I've been doing this stretch a long time ago, and I sort of forgot about it, and I really like it. So what you do is you take your hand into a fist. You bring the fist in front of your face. You draw the hand down. You turn it. So now you see my wrist is coming behind me. My thumb is behind me, and I'm trying to lift it up towards the ceiling, so I'm getting this stretch. So all of these, there's the ulnar bone, there's the radius. Each stretch is doing sort of a different thing. Now, remember, you can't get external rotation if your back is rounded, so you have to be standing upright, nice and straight, draw the shoulder blade in. Okay, so here we go. Lengthen through the top of your head, get that wrist up. Ah, good, exhale and release. Let's do the other side. So, left arm up. I'm going to drop the arm, and as I drop the arm, I'm going to twist behind. Again, you know, where is the twist happening from? I want to keep this shoulder stable. I don't want this shoulder to go in. You know, this is how we create problems. So I've got to keep it lifted. This is my not as lovely side. It's lovely, but it's not as functional. Not as functional. It's getting there, though, through all this home practice. So I guess that's one of the benefits of social isolation. A little bit more practice. Oh, my normal. Good. And then exhale and release. Good. And then while we're here, we'll do another one. Bring the arm up, turn the palm up towards the ceiling, grab your wrist, and pull, and do a nice side stretch, which will prepare us for the next one. So I'm pulling the hand, the wrist is up, and I'm trying to turn my pinky side down and my thumb side up. Get a nice stretch through the side. And then come on back to the center, change hands, turn the palm up, and then exhale, down. Lovely. Good, exhale and release. Okay, so shake it out again. And let me just see what we need to do next. Okay, let's try this then. So we did, no, let's do Trikonasana. I'm changing my mind. This is like normal class. The right foot forward. I missed that, being able to change my mind a lot. Okay, let's do Trikonasana. And have your block ready in case you need it. So what I want you to focus on here is that the hand that's down has to be very active, because, and I think we did this a couple classes, if you put your hand down and you just let the shoulder come out, then you're getting a dysfunction in the wrist. You're actually putting all the weight on the weak side of your wrist, the weak bone side. So when we push down, what we need to do is draw the shoulder blade in and do that same thing. Either squeeze hand together, push through the knuckles and squeeze thumb to fingers, fingers to thumb, or you could do a tripod and squeeze, or if you have wrist issues, you can go down on the forearm. The only thing is, when you're pushing, remember you are pushing down into the block, okay? So sorry for that little diversion. I know some of you that know all this, it gets kind of tedious, all my explanations. Okay, so here we go. We're stretching forward. We're deepening at the front crease. We're coming down into our Trikonasana. And here's that lesson. You know, am I hanging out? Of course, we're not doing this for 5 hours, but am I hanging out on that outer part of my hand? So get your index finger grounded, get your thumb pushing down into the block or into the air even, and then draw the shoulder blade in. Think about this stretch from the left shoulder to the right hip, left shoulder to my right hip, the diagonal stretch, taking the hip back, and then I've got my hand right now on my rib cage. You can take it up, bring it behind your head, lean back into your head, and what will happen is, as I take my hand, so I've got my hand, if you're not sure, right here at the back of my head, as I lean back, I'm actually opening up the chest and the shoulders. Okay, so, you know, I guess what I'm saying to you is the upper body, this opening up the upper body is so important, And then I can take my arm up, just let it float up. And that means that my shoulder's not going to be too far back. And then I can take it up over so bicep and ear is together. Okay, keep going. I just got to mess with somebody. Not sure what that said, but anyways, okay. So here we go. We're here, and try to get a nice stretch from the outside edge of the foot through the fingertips. Now you can try turning your palm up, and then inhale and come on up. So another little tip, and I see this all the time in yoga class, is when people do put their hand out and they spread their fingers wide, they tend to lift the fingers higher than the wrist, and what happens is you're tightening up the top of your wrist here, okay? So if you're going to spread your fingers wide, almost feel like you're gripping a ball, okay? That you're not letting the fingers float up higher. You're gripping a ball. Try that in Trikonasana now. So we'll change sides. Take a really, really nice wide stance. Left foot is coming forward. Remember, the middle of your heel, I'm not focusing that much on the lower body because I want to get a lot done here. But, I mean, you know, the same rules apply. The middle of the heel hits the middle of the arch, not heel to heel. Lift the arms up, feel what's going on there. Turn palms up, lift breastbone up and draw the shoulder blades in. Exhale, come forward, reaching. Bring your hand down to the block. Now, some of you, that block's too low, so you could do a chair or a double block. Sometimes I do that. So anyways, do all the things I'm talking about with the hand, pushing into the block. Engage the shoulder. Feel the action from the left hip up to the right shoulder. Okay, so I'm not just letting this hand be a flat pinky on my mat. I'm being active in my hand, active in my forearm, active in the upper arm. Bicep and tricep are working, shoulders working, and then I'm trying to get the left shoulder or the right shoulder and the left hip to draw away from each other and back. I want this shoulder to come back. Then I take my hand behind my head, I lean back into my hand. I lean back into my hand. And I'm really focusing on this bottom arm, not letting it relax. If I feel like that's happening, go up on spider fingers. Then I'm going to take the arm up towards the ceiling. Okay, you won't be compromising the shoulder if you do this properly. And then I'll bring the arm up over. Okay, because we have this tendency. Now again, with your fingers, the upper arm, try to grip your fingers. Bring the thumb and the index finger close in together. Reach through the fingertips still, but it's almost like you're holding like a ball and you're trying to grip that ball. And exhale and release. So, you know, so here's a fun thing, is every time we do this pose, instead of letting those fingers flop up and pushing through the palm and letting this happen, grip, 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 like you're trying to, you know, it's like I played piano when I was a kid. I was rotten at it, but I still played it. Finger and thumb together, they get to squeeze together, and then you get more action in the arch of the hand, just like we want in the foot. Okay, and you know, I'm so obsessed with feet, so here we can be obsessed with our hands, and then come on up. So hopefully all that felt good for you and felt therapeutic. So now we can try something a little bit more challenging. Of course, plank is challenging for the wrist. Downward dog can be challenging if not done properly, but hopefully these tips will help. But come down to sitting here. So this is the big wrist pose that most people find so difficult. And it really is all about this upper body and the shoulders. How are they reacting? And are you doing the proper thing with the hands? So place your hands on the floor, preferably fingertips pointing towards your buttocks. So, you know, I've got this going on here. I'm going to move back a little bit because I have a double mat now. I noticed in everybody's videos they have cross mats, and it's good for teaching because I don't change my mat around. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to do all these actions of the hands. I'm going to make sure I'm pushing into my index finger. I'm going to squeeze my hands together. And then, see, I'm rounding my upper back. Remember what I said about rounding your upper back. You're not getting the right action in the shoulder. You can't externally rotate. So I'm lifting the breastbone up, drawing my shoulder blades forward, my spine into my back. Maybe even letting my head come back. Going, feels pretty good. I can focus on that. So let's do a few more times. Exhale, round the back. Inhale, lift. Exhale, release. Inhale, lift. Exhale, release. Inhale, lift. And release. Now, the thing is, if during that time period of moving the spine, if you lost the hands, then you might feel like, oh, that doesn't feel so great in my wrist, okay? So this is the thing. We have to take baby steps, keep working on it. So we're going to go back again. So those of you who felt that was okay, then, you can go the next step. If you didn't feel it was okay, just keep practicing this. See if you can just focus on pressing the index finger and drawing the hands together and lifting the breastbone up. But if it did feel good, then draw your belly down. Get really, really tall up in the side body. You want long to leg, breastbone lifting. Tuck your chin and lift the hips up towards the ceiling in this reverse plank pose. And then exhale and release, okay? So if you do a little experiment, if you activate the hands and do that, and then you just have casual floppy hands, you'll see a huge difference in how the wrist reacts to that pose, okay? So again, let's do it one more time. We'll do the third version. If that did not feel good, you are not going to keep, pushing it. You're going to stay where you are. Now I know there's an option to turn the hand slightly out, and that's okay if you keep the hand action. So maybe you want to do that. That's okay, as long as you keep the hand action that I'm talking about. So index finger squeezing together like you're trying to close your yoga mat up with your hands, with your fingers, okay? So now, belly in, breastbone up, shoulder blades in, lift the hips, extend your right leg, push through the heel, extend your left leg, push through the heel, only if this feels good, and keep working the action of the hands. Let your head drop. If your shoulder blades are drawn in, you should not feel like you're at a ledge behind your head. There's no ledge. And then exhale and release. And then exhale and release and shake it out. Okay. So also for some reason this works with the wrist is sore. If you squeeze them really tight, I don't know, maybe it's restriction of blood flow and then the blood comes back in. That's probably what it is. But that always tends to work. Good. And exhale and release. Okay, one more thing. Again, that's just like class, how I say one more, but there's more than one. So we're going to come down into a bridge pose and lie down. And I just got something soft for my head because it was there. Turn your palms towards each other, and then turn the palms towards your head. Tuck your shoulder blade in. So see, my palms are facing my face. Now, this is what this is creating is more of an external rotation in the shoulder, in case you want to know. Then you're going to press the elbows in, and you're going to lift your hips up. And you're going to draw the belly down. Sacrum is working. Come up on your toes if you want, and just see, can you lift your hips up even higher, and then draw the heels back down. Push glutes up, push sacrum up, tailbone towards the inner knees, elbows are pushing down, shoulders are pushing up into the body, and then draw the energy, push towards your head. And then exhale and release. Wow, and I felt my legs there too, so that was good. All right, awesome. And sort of not in the same boat here, but let's end our practice today before Shavasana with Navasana. Because again, with everything that we're doing these days, I mean, I don't know about you, but I've asked a lot of my friends, everybody's out gardening and walking and things like that, and we're sitting over computers, and so we need to keep strengthening the back body, okay? Activating the line of the back body. So we'll do Navasana, and you're saying, well, why is that? Why are you doing boat pose then? That's for the core, but the back body has to work here, okay? And so that's why I'm doing it. So draw the spinal muscles forward, lift the breastbone up, engage your core, place your hands on the outside of your knee, and then shift back. Now, don't collapse, because if you collapse, you're going to compromise, again, the shoulders. So you want to keep the breastbone up, and you want to maybe take the hands out, turn the palms up, maybe turn the palms down to get a twofer here. So fingers towards your head, stretching those forearms, maybe not, and then take the legs straight up, keeping the back nice and straight, upper back nice and straight, breastbone lifted, good, and then exhale and release. Good. Now, turn around here, but cross your legs, walk your hands out in front, walk your hands out, let your head drop. Good. Walk your hands back. Take your whatever foot was in front, put it behind. Walk out again. And again, if you want to keep working that arch of the hand, go on spidey fingers and push the baby finger and the thumb together, activating that arch of the hand. Good. Walk back. Want to do, actually, sorry, I know, we're almost done though. We'll just do one more thing, and that's, I want to do a little twist to end the practice today. And again, this is also, you know, it's again, everything is about opening this upper body. So come down to lying, cross your right leg over your left, move your hips to the right, and then take your arms out to the sides here, and then drop the knees over to the side. And, you know, sometimes people do this with the foot is down, but just let your knee come down to the floor. And then take your right hip away, so right hip away from the right shoulder. In fact, I kind of want to experience the left hip to the right shoulder, that diagonal stretch again. So you can go in there and experience that. And see how your shoulders feel and your arms feel. Breathe into the pose and just let the body release. Excellent. Arm back up. Take the foot back down. Flatten your sacrum. Take the left foot over the right now. Shift your hips over to the left a little bit. And then draw your legs down to the right. Let the top be heavy. And release. And again, try to feel, of course, I want my left hip to come away from my left armpit, that's for sure. But also, I want to feel that sort of diagonal stretch from my right hip to my left. Bring my head away from my knees. Please that stretch there as well. And I release. Take my legs away from each other. Find that flatness in my sacrum. Walk your feet the whole length through the width of your yoga mat, however far that is, and just do some gentle windshield wiper. So drop the left knee in, pause, don't rush this. And actually, as I pause, I'm trying to bring my knee away from the left shoulder, my left shoulder, And then I'm going to do the same on the other side. So I'm going to pause, bring my right knee away from the right shoulder. And then other side. Go back and forth. You know, sometimes when you're doing your home practice, you just know not time to end yet. That's how I kind of feel today. Let's bring the left hand and we'll do one-sided happy baby pose. This right leg can be bent or straight. And we're going to push the hand into the knee and the knee into the head. Don't be afraid to shift your weight into that left side and really let the knee come down. And then work on the other, getting the sacrum level again. That's kind of a fun thing to do, kind of just a way to explore and extend the right knee, hand into the foot into the hand. And then slowly release that side, move to the other side. Hand into the knee, knee into the hand. When I say knee, hand into the foot, foot into the hands, heel in the foot. And then I'm going to roll over. I'm going to let that knee come down more. As I'm rolling over to the right, I'm letting my left heel really extend away. Then I come back, find the balance that I want. Pushing my hand down and my foot up. And then I release. Yeah, and now I feel more ready for Shavasana. I feel like, yeah, that's good. So just as you lie in Shavasana, just try to sense and feel how your wrists feel right now. You know, of course, if you have arthritis, then, you know, start at the stretches that I mentioned in the beginning part, the interlocking, all those kinds of lifts. Watch my other video on YouTube. And then eventually you'll go into this more in-depth, putting the weight on. Because eventually that's what we should be able to do that. You know, a lot of times we talk about being functional as only being one way. You need to be functional in all kinds of, like I said, 90, 45, whatever, of the rest. You still need to be functional. Okay, so you're lying in Shavasana, you're sensing and what's going on in your body and how the wrists and the hands feel. Is there more energy in the hands? How does your breath feel right now? As it's flowing through your body. Breath. Find today's practice more exerting. Feel the body moving with breath. Feel your rib cage moving. You feel your belly moving. And you experience the breath as it's coming in through your nose and out through your nose. You allow yourself to let go. As I mentioned on Monday night, you know, I like this analogy is sort of inhale, we nourish the body. Exhale. Let go. Anything that doesn't serve us. allow ourselves to be still and quiet. Going internal and blocking out everything that is noise around. Now, your air conditioning, for example, that going inside. The more you go inside, the less the distractions of the world bother you. Wiggle your fingers and toes. Stretch your arms up over your head. Point your toes, flex your feet, and bring your hands down with a great big audible sigh. Hands up towards the ceiling. Again, point your toes, flex your feet. And bring your hands down. Great big sigh again. Draw your knees up towards your chest. Roll gently from side to side. Roll over onto your right side. Then slowly, very, very slowly, come up to sitting. So an experiment that you can do is to do a plank pose or a downward dog with your hands pressing into your yoga mat. Hold that for 20 seconds, 30 seconds. Come to sitting, look at your palms, and wherever they're the most red is probably where you're applying the most pressure. And for most of us that are having shoulder issues or doing things wrong with downward dog, that'll be the outside edge. Want the redness more on this knuckle, the index finger knuckle side. Okay. Yeah, and even into the thumb. So try that experiment. That's your homework. Bring your hands together, your heart, bow your head, divine within. Grateful for this practice and beautiful weather that we're having. So lovely. Namaste. All right, I'm going to come forward. I'm going to unmute you all. I'm going to end the recording. If anybody has questions, they want to hang out and ask. If anybody has any concerns, questions about things. Monday night, it will be restorative yoga. I encourage you all to come. I was actually thinking of delaying the class instead of having it at 7, having it at 8. So if anybody has any feelings on that, I thought if we did something like at 8 and we went to 9:30, then people could just slink up to bed after, which is really nice. I'm gonna work it out so that you can use normal pillows and blankets to do the practice. Yeah, so I haven't decided on the time yet. I will send an email out, but I thought if you have any opinions about that, let me know. Okay, so before I come, I'm going to unmute you all. I hope Pam made it today. I hope she got in.
Thanks, Suzanne, for a lovely class. I'll talk to you later.